There was no chance anyone was catching Willem, Greve, and Highway this week in Leipzig. Their blazing jump-off gave Willem his first ever World Cup win and set them on the path towards the final. It wasn't necessarily the strongest field, but I doubt anyone would have caught them either way. Welcome to Horse Bytes, your 5 and 10 5-star show jumping, all in just 10 minutes. Horse Bytes is presented by Beyond the Staples podcast, bridging the gap to show jumping's next gen. Western European World Cup jumping is winding down with only 3 legs left in the league. But before we cover Leipzig, here's a little roundup of show jumping around the world. We only saw one 5-star event this week, but plenty of 5-star riders took home prizes at other events. In Wellington, world number 1, Henrik von Eckermann won a m45 speed class with Glamour Girl, while Richie Vogel picked up the 3-star Grand Prix win. Ken Farrington made a super clever skip up to Ocala to clean up by taking the 4-star Grand Prix qualifier and the Grand Prix itself on Orofina and Tulena, respectively. And Guido Grimaldi and Gentleman won the 4-star World Cup. In other news, Hank Noren, former French chef d'équipe, has taken over as team manager for Scuderia 1918, an Italian brand that hosts its own team similar to Iron Dames. He is set to oversee their group of elite riders such as Kevin Stowe, Lorenzo De Luca, and a whole host of young up-and-comers. A big rule change proposal regarding the ban of certain calming agents such as pentobarbital and formaldehyde is set to be discussed in the United States later this week as the USEF has its annual meeting. And WEF announced huge prize money increases to include 2 of their 4 5-star events, now set at $500,000, and an increase to $750,000 for their finale Grand Prix. And let's be honest, it took them long enough, as this was long overdue for the quality and challenge the WEF Grand Prix pose for high-level sport. Now, let's get into the action from Leipzig. Overall, it was a good class and pleasurable to watch. Not too many problems, but rails all over the place. Only 2 retired and no one fell off. It was quite a weak field with lots of younger, less experienced riders competing, especially a few German riders I've actually never heard of. But I'd say Johann Sebastian Gulliksen had a particularly notable day with some of the strongest riding I've ever seen from the young Norwegian, while David Will and Zinedream were perhaps the weakest of the day, having an uncharacteristic 21 faults due to a hectic round where the horse was jumping way too forward. Frank Rothenberger built a fair but jumpable course of 13 number obstacles with 16 efforts and a relatively short first round with only a 67-second time allowed. The triple had a Liverpool Oxer at B, which caused plenty of trouble, a plank vertical into an all-red double, and a few verticals that saw their fair share of hard rubs. The course had an uncharacteristically high number of short stride lines, with a 3-stride and 3 4-strides, although the second 4-stride was an option of either 4 or 5, and even 6 strides for Donald Whitaker, who tried, unsuccessfully, to fit an extra stride in. The first jump fell a lot, as well as the last Liverpool Oxer that was set alone directly away from the gate. A course designer's trick to catch out horses and riders who think they might be done. In the end, we saw a baker's dozen make it into the deciding round, with 6 of the 13 coming from the home nation. It wasn't the most challenging of courses, but again, when you have a weaker field strength, we often see a lot make it through, as the veterans make light of the first round without killing the younger entries. The jump-off, however, provided a lot of excitement. It started out strong with Martin Fuchs and Connor J putting in a solid round, although quite slow for someone who desperately needs World Cup points. He was caught immediately by Sasha Nygaard-Leal and her newer mount, Noah de Calvary, who were standouts of the day after jumping a double clear in their first ever m60 class together. Then she was beaten out immediately by Hans-Dieter Dreyer and Elysium, who stayed atop the podium for a while until Willem, Greve and the freaky Highway TN N.O.P absolutely crushed their time by over a second. They were so tight back to the double, so fast to the red vertical, and their turn back to number 3 was unbelievable. No wonder they won. He was really trying. And no chance anyone was beating them. Although Simone Deleste gave it a good try as last to go, but would eventually have to settle for second place. It was Willem's first ever World Cup win, and although his sights weren't necessarily set on heading to the finals, he might be changing plans after the electrifying win. Simone also picked up some needed points, and Hansi moved into second on the overall leaderboard as Kevin Stowe remained on the top. All in, it was a solid class that provided nice entertainment, and it was nice to see Willem Greve rebound after a difficult second half of 2024. But with the class only offering up 190,000 euros, the World Cup prize money pots make the competition all the less meaningful. To compare, Ocala offered a 4-star class for 200,000 with only 23 entries, and Wellington offered a 3-star meter 50 Grand Prix for 140,000. Basically, the money just doesn't seem proportionate to the prestige that comes with winning a 5-star Grand Prix. That being said, I'd rate Leipzig a 6.9. We saw a great jump off, but the overall field strength keeps it out of the top echelon of classes. Well, that's a wrap on this week's top highlights, and stay tuned next week for some live action from another World Cup leg from Amsterdam. Horse Bytes will be catching lots of behind the scenes from the event, and make sure to reach out or stop by for some insider insight. Stay tuned to all of our socials. Make sure to subscribe, like, comment, and follow along all the action as it unfolds here on Horse Bytes. Your 5 and 10 5-star show jumping all in just 10 minutes.